Hello, my name's Scott Davis. Welcome to New World Birth. This is the weekly neutrino forecast for May 24th to May 30th of 2015. And on May 24th, we've got the sun. We can see it denoted here by this black circle with a dot in it. It's in Gemini, and it's also in the 20th hexagram. And on the outside of the wheel, we see the chop mark for the 20th, numbered from bottom to top. The 20th goes yin, 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 yang, yang. And then the 20th hexagram is mapped to an opening in an energy channel called a gate. Right here we have the 20th gate of the now. Contemplation, recognition, and awareness in the now transforms understanding into right action. Located in the throat center, in an individual energy path in the knowing circuit called the channel of the brain wave, that design of penetrating awareness that connects to its harmonic, the 57th gate of intuitive insight, the gentle, the extraordinary power of clarity. Being part of the integration system, the 20th also forms the channel of awakening, a design of commitment to higher principles, with the 10th gate of the behavior of the self, treading, and the channel of charisma, where thoughts become deeds, with the 34th gate of power, the power of the great. And I found human design to be amazingly accurate in describing the person, that I use it as my primary tool when I provide readings. We've got the following activated gates on the 24th. Excuse me, we've got the sun in the 20th gate, the earth in the 34th gate, the north node in the 18th gate, with the south node in the 17th gate. Mercury is retrograde in the 35th gate. Venus is in the 53rd gate, with Mars is in the 16th gate. Jupiter is in the 7th gate. Saturn is retrograde in the 34th gate. Uranus is in the 51st gate. Neptune is in the 37th gate. And Pluto is retrograde in the 54th gate. So obviously not every gate activation forms a channel, but this information can be very helpful if you know your human design chart, because some of these transits will form channels with potentials in your personal body graph. And the neutrino forecast is basically just a weather report. And no matter what the weather, your individual strategy and authority is the correct choice to have an authentic experience regardless of the program. As Ra Uru Hu said, whatever the weather is going to be, you have your neutrino umbrella. As long as you're experimenting with your strategy and authority, the weather's for your pleasure. And as we begin the week, we've got one channel definition due to the transit field, with the sun in the 20th gate and the earth and Saturn in the 34th gate. We've got the channel of charisma until May 27th. And this will influence us to become busier in the now, where we think the things we think about become the experiences that we're having. Expect folks to be more deeply involved in their daily activities and unaware of the expectations of others. People are not likely to even notice how busy they are, with the possibility of erupting spontaneously without an awareness of why. They'll be in their own little worlds, out of sight, out of mind. This can affect non-generator types in feeling busy and having the endurance to work. Obviously, don't get used to it. You may think that they may even think that they know when enough is enough, which could lead to a premature or abrupt end to something that really needs more time. As individual circuitry, this definition brings melancholy or blue feelings that are best used in some type of creative activity. So we're going to be looking at the sun's Ravi Ching line values daily, because 70% of the neutrinos we receive come from the sun. And as Ross said in Living with the Programs, the lines of the day, when talking about these daily shifts to line values, he said we can always take advantage of the themes of the day. If your strategy and authority doesn't lead you in that direction, you can always notice how the program is affecting others in your environment. So let's get started. On May 24th, the sun is in the third line, the martyr line of the 20th hexagram. The sun is exalted in the third line of the 20, but it's also detrimented by the earth being in the 34. 3. So in the just now chart, an exaltation looks like an upward pointing triangle. A detriment is a downward pointing triangle. And so when we look at the 23, it's going to look like a 6-pointed star because it has those two triangles overlaid on each other, which is self-awareness, understanding derived from analysis of personal actions and effects, exalted the proper attunement and development of personality through self-consciousness, the expression of self-conscious awareness in the now, detrimented self-consciousness in the extreme that hampers the development, the expression of self-consciousness in the extreme. Third line days, when we're talking about the martyr, we're talking about a trial and error process and bonds made and broken and a system of discovery by figuring out what doesn't work. Later on, the 24th, the sun then moves up into the 4th line. So leaving the martyr line into the opportunist line of the 20th hexagram at 6:02 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. You're going to want to convert that to your local time zone. This in the 20 hexagram 4th line. This is application, recognition, and awareness that can only be transformed into action in cooperation with those who have the ability to act upon the understanding. Exalted, the teacher whose students transcend him, where the expression of awareness can only be turned into action through others, the teacher. Detrimented, a tendency to prefer theory to application, the expression of awareness as theory with little interest in its application. 4th line days, we switch from the lower trigram, 1st, 2nd, 3rd lines, and their inward perspective to the upper trigram, 4th, 5th, 6th lines, which is more of an outward looking perspective. With the themes of friendship and companionship, networking. 4th line days are great for social interactions, and people are more open to networking by being friendly and social. On the 25th, the sun then moves up into the 5th line of the 20th hexagram, where the sun is exalted due to Saturn being in the 34th gate and hexagram. This is described as realism. Contemplation in and of itself is no guarantee of success. Exalted, where concentration on details results in the perfected form, the success of expressing awareness through detail. 5th line days, what we're talking about is the heretic, where there's a projection. The projection always starts out as positive, then turns negative, given enough time. So the positive would be they could do it. They'd be great at it. That's the perfect person for whatever it is. Then if the person doesn't do it, doesn't want to do it, can't do it, for whatever reason they don't meet that expectation, then the punishment comes. The heretic is tied to the stake. So this manifests in many different ways. So it could be a day of suspicion, but also universalization, where something leaks out like a virus, whether it's a YouTube video or a Facebook post where there's a lot of viewings. But there's also, it's said that paranoia is associated with the 5th line day. Yeah, I'm a 5th line person myself, profile. And so I've decided that, if they're truly out to get you, then it's not paranoia. And given the projection field, often they truly are. This obviously can impact the nature of relationships, seduction also being a theme of a 5th line day. And then also on the 25th, retrograde Mercury moves out of the 35 and backs into the 16, joining Mars. Mercury in mythology was the messenger of the gods. So this is about communication and the expansion of consciousness through communication, not just as words, but also as music, according to Ra. So what do we need to communicate in life? Well, we communicate the message of our design Mercury through the medium of our personality Mercury. And so what might be communicated when Mercury is in the 16? Well, I'd expect people might say things like, I experiment, because that is the voice of the 16th gate. This is the gate of skills, enthusiasm, the great art of enriching life by the harmonic channeling of energy. And since Mercury is retrograde, it backs into the sixth line of the 16, uh, which is and Mercury in the sixth line of the 16. This is the line of gullibility. This is susceptibility to propaganda, exalted the ability to experience, examine, and then reject misleading enthusiasm, the talent to access the expression of others. Um, Detrimented the same principle as the exaltation, but to painful withdrawal. Its enthusiasm for social structures permanently prejudiced. The failure to access the expressions of others. On the 26th, the sun then moves into the sixth line of so the sixth line of the 20th hexagram at 4:52 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. The sun in the sixth line of the 20 is wisdom, contemplation, which results in the ability to apply understanding. Exalted, the establishment for the benefit of society, values, ideals, and their patterns, and how they can be understood and applied. The ability to transform individual awareness for general application and understanding. Detrimented, the same as the exaltation, but motivated by self-satisfying mental challenge rather than altruism. The ability to transform individual awareness for general application for the mental challenge. Six line day is a role model on the roof of the hexagram. When you think about being on the roof of a building, we don't tend to look at the building so much as what's going on around in the neighborhood. What else is happening? What's coming next? Ross talked about six line days not to get stuck with your head in the clouds because you'll end up with something banging into your shins or your kneecaps. It's a day where there's a lack of focus on what's going on around you because folks are looking beyond their immediate environment. And like third line days, certain dangers of not seeing a car coming, not seeing a bill coming. And then on the 27th, we've got the sun moving out of the 20th hexagram. We still have Jupiter in the 7th, though. But we no longer have this definition, although we do still have the throat. This is going to be defined as Venus changes to. Venus is going to move from the 53 to the 62. So we'll just get all the transits up here. And then we've also got the Earth leaving the 34, and it moves to the 9. These little ones are difficult to get to stick. Goodness. I'll just put a bigger one in there just to make it work. All right. Anyway, so let's go through this here real quick. We've got the Earth in the 9th hexagram, which is the gate of focus, the taming power of the small, the potential to be fulfilled through detailed attention to all pertinent aspects. This shift happens at 4:18 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time, with the sun in the 16th gate of enthusiasm, the great art of enriching life by the harmonic channeling of energy. The sun is detrimented in the first line of the 16 due to Mercury also being in the 16. This is described as delusion, false enthusiasm, detrimented the public communication of inevitably unrealized claims, the tendency to express fantasy as fact. And so now we've got the sun in the new hexagram, first, second, third lines, again, lower trigram, more focus on the individual process. So those are days when people are more looking inward, more absorbed in their own process, with the theme of the first line day being a fear or an anxiety that needs to be investigated. So it's a day to study, not to act. It's a day to look into things, not to jump. It's a good day to deal with things you don't understand and can't make sense of. And as I mentioned before, Venus moves out of the 53rd gate and up into the 62nd gate and hexagram. In human design, Venus is very powerful and very and also deeply misunderstood according to Ra. It brings morality, values, natural law in which we deal with the other, and the consequences of the world around us, and what disturbs you at a moral level. Your design and personality Venuses tell us about the moral dilemma that you're going to work with in your life, and that if you don't act with moral clarity, Venus can be unkind in its retribution. In the So in the 62nd gate, Venus is in the gate of detail, the preponderance of the small, caution, patience, and detail produce excellence out of limitation. It's in the first line of the 62, which is routine, exalted, the ability to transcend boredom of routine through a rich and daring fantasy life, the ability to organize the detail through fantasy, detrimented rebellion with enormous waste of energy, the need for expression which ignores the details. And with Venus in the 62 and the south node of the moon in the 17th gate of opinions, we've got the channel of acceptance until June 1st. This is part of the understanding circuit of logical collective channels, which and brings the ability to see the bigger picture without getting bogged down in the details. So it's important during this definition to look at all the relevant facts and details, or this vision will falter. It's a projective channel, so its expression needs to be invited. So keep your detailed knowledge of the bigger picture to yourself unless it's asked for, if you want to avoid boring people with unnecessary detail. This is a time this is a time where folks will be more organized and looking to improve their logical patterns for the future that once invited can be shared with the collective. Excuse me. And then on the 28th, the sun then moves into the second line. So leaving the investigator line, moving into the hermit line of the 16. And the sun is exalted in the 16 too, but it's also being detrimented with Mercury being in the 16. So again, this is another one where we've overlaid the exaltation upward pointing triangle with the detrimented downward pointing triangle. So it's going to look like a 6-pointed star in the just now chart. And it's described as the cynic. The sharpness to burst bubbles, exalted self-reliance, and the ability to judge objectively any claim regardless of rhetoric. The expression of the skill to judge objectively. Detriment the compulsive cynic, whose very cynicism is the source of enthusiasm. Objectivity expressed through cynicism. Second line day, everyone's waiting for something. They're waiting to be called, and what they're called for mostly is natural talents. People are stuck in their own trip, so it's not a great day to have a party because folks really aren't going to want to come. And then on the 28th, we've got Mars leaving the 16th hexagram where the Sun and Mercury remain, and Mars moving into the 35. All right. So Mars is in the gate of change, progress by design. Progress cannot exist in a vacuum. It's dependent on interaction. Mars in the first line of the 35 is humility, the ability to accept rejection. Exalted, the artist that accepts rejection as part of the process. Acceptance of change and rejection as part of the process. Detrimented, a self-destructive reaction to rejection. A loss of worth, change and rejection as a humiliation. Um, uh, as the detriment. Ross spoke about Mars being an extraordinary and immature energy resource that lacks refinement and is subject to outbursts. Mars represents the warrior archetype in mythology, and by following our strategy and authority, we slowly refine the energy of our design and personality Mars from immaturity to wisdom. And that brings us to the 29th, where the sun moves into the third line, the martyr line of the 16th hexagram at 3:12 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. The sun in the 16:3 is independence. The self-generating and sustained enthusiasm, exalted, the proper timing to maintain rhythm and avoid deflation, the independent skill and possible talent to express proper timing and rhythm, detrimented the child whose overconfidence may lead to frustration, ensuring dependence on others to regenerate enthusiasm, thus creating unnecessary reliance. The need to have others confirm one's skills or talent. Third line days, again, with the martyrs, trial and error process, bonds made and broken, a system of discovery by figuring out what doesn't work. Things bump into us under that third line energy. So be careful on the roads. Be careful of swinging doors, swinging elbows. This is a day where we might have bonds made and broken. A third line day is about the trial and error process, as I said before. It's a good material day. It's a good day to do business and work on the material plane, but you have to be careful because things can go wrong. But ultimately, those things are here to lead us to discovery. And then also on the 29th, Pluto retrogrades from the 54 back into the 38. So what we're looking at here is leaving the 54, as I had mentioned months ago when it went into the 54, that it was just going to be there for a short time, back into the 38, where where Pluto is in the gate of the fighter, opposition. We had Pluto here for quite a while before, so this is the ability to persevere and preserve individual integrity through opposition to detrimental forces. Since Pluto is retrograde, it enters into the sixth line of the 38, which is the line of misunderstanding. Opposition without basis, exalted, eventual crystallization, which clears up misunderstandings, energy which attracts misunderstandings, and the stubbornness to face opposition. Detrimented, the recognition that misunderstanding is at the root of opposition, and the insistence that it is the misunderstanding of oppositional force, of opposing forces, where misunderstanding is the root of struggle, the energy of stubbornness to insist and maintain one's position. Ross spoke about Pluto being truth, personal subjective truth, what we know is truth in our lives. Your personality Pluto and your design Pluto point to the themes of truth in your life. And on the 30th, the sun then moves up into the fourth line, the opportunist line of the 16th hexagram at 2:40 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. And in the 16:4, this is the leader, genuine and sincere support and recognition of others, exalted enthusiasm for and service to higher goals. The skill to recognize and support the talents of others, detrimented, the demagogue, the refusal to support or recognize the talent of others. Fourth line days, again, we've changed from the lower trigram to the upper trigram with this shift from an inward perspective to now looking more outward, again with the themes of social interaction and friendship, companionship, and networking. So no matter what the energies are that are conditioning you during the week, remember this is an experience about being a passenger that's riding in a vehicle that's being driven by the magnetic monopole. Enjoy the scenery. Let the vehicle take you wherever you need to go through using your strategy and authority. Every day is a blessing, no matter what the dramas are that beckon to distract us. We're all here just giving the performance of a lifetime on this world stage. Just take some time to observe your play, watch your movie, as well as acting your part by remembering you're a spiritual being that's having a human experience. I want to thank you for checking out New World Birth. The next segment of the weekly neutrino forecast will be on May 31st. 2015 should be available on the 30th when we'll continue to look at the influence of the heavenly bodies as they transit the sky and the hexagrams of the I Ching. You can check us out on Facebook, Blogger, or YouTube, as there's New World Birth presences in all those places. And I encourage you to share this information as videos or as text as widely as you choose, and invite you to contact me at newworldbirth@yahoo.com if you got any questions or you wish to schedule a reading. I am providing readings, and if you've been thinking about getting a reading, please contact me. I would love to provide you a reading during these uncertain times. You need to be able to either call me in Maine in the USA, or we can connect with Skype to receive your reading. We're also accepting donations to keep these reports freely available. We've gotten a few donations and gotten a few readings, although we really are in need of more in order to keep this going. So please, if you're in a position to support us, I would totally appreciate it. But great gratitude for everybody who supports us by watching the videos or clicking like on the videos or Facebook posts and all of those things. As always, I'm blessed that you've taken the time to connect with my passion for all these ancient mysteries and their application to our journey during this incarnation. The light in me honors the light in you. Namaste, in Lakesh, and as Ra would say, love yourself. As always, gratitude and all my best to everybody. Peace.